I'm running away from the past I left behind. I'm looking for answers, but I'm blinded by the light. I'm lost in the music, can I stay here for the night? I promise I'll be gone in the morning, out of sight and out of mind. No blind, out of sight and out of mind. No standing still. It's like you're stuck in a nightmare, but you keep doing it for the thrill. Well, this is reality, you only live it once, so wake up from your dream. But just for tonight, let the lines get blurred, let your thoughts be free, let your thoughts be free.
Good evening everybody and welcome to another Elite FPL stream, another preview stream, another look through the score predictions, my predictions, your predictions, free hit teams, non-free hit teams. Actually no, I don't really care about anybody else's free hit teams or non-free hit teams, because like I said on Patreon today, I only care about my team and my rivals' teams. But it is looking likely that I am probably forced into a free hit with this Watkins news. Does he start? Does he not start? I took a -4 yesterday, I think it was, to bring in Muniz and Roslev, and I thought, as I said on the Patreon the other day, something that Sam said on FPL Juice, which was words to the effect of, which he was advising Nick to do, which is the whole point in a free hit is for game weeks like this, and for people that are going to be taking minus points to bring in players because they don't have a free hit. And I thought to myself, that applies to me, and I'm about 90% certain I'll probably play the free hit tomorrow. I'll probably forget, like I do with Sky every week. I'll just completely forgotten. Oh yeah, I've missed the deadline. Brilliant. And I've got some bad news from Alex Volo. Alex Volo, the brilliant thumbnail creator who's created this brilliant thumbnail this week. I've got some bad news for him. So this week, this is the team that I put together for Harbour Boy, for who I think he should be potentially going for regarding a free hit team for a player doing so well in Harbour Boy's case. So that team was Areola in goal, Udogi, Roslev, Robinson, Son, Kulusevski, Alanga, Bowen, Tony Watkins and Muniz. Now the whole point in that team was it was for a player in Harbour Boy's position who's 1800th in the world. He's doing exceptionally well. He doesn't want to go out completely Alex Volo style and go every single minus 10% owned player that there's available, but he is going to need to have players which, to shoot him up the ranks, I personally can see doing very well this week. And the two players that I personally really do think could do well are someone from Nottingham Forest. Ooh, what's that? 15 players in a squad, Steve-o, and you expect one of them to do well. I am banking on Alanga or Morgan Gibbs-White to do something this week. I am expecting that game to be 3-2 to Nottingham Forest, because Nottingham Forest seem to be in games which are high scoring, and we'll get onto that in a minute. And the other player is Kulusevski. Kulusevski, it's all here, round down, right there. If you don't believe me, well, you could have written this down 10 seconds ago, Steve. Well, if you're a Patreon, you would have heard me. Not that you can see that, you can't see any of this fucking shit, to be honest with you. But it's right there. I can guarantee someone's staring at their phone right now. Oh, I can't see it. Fucking hell. Even though I've just read it out. But yeah, there are a couple of players this week, or a couple of teams like, and Muniz is another one I think is a good differential to have this week for people like myself. And the free hit team I've got in front of me, which I've literally just put together 6 seconds ago, and it's all dependent on Watkins news, but it is as follows: Areola, Udogi. I've got Kafal in my back five as it stands. By the way, I'm not copying Alex Volo, and we'll get onto his team in a minute. I'm not copying his team. This is just the 5 players, the 5 midfielders, and the 3 strikers I've got. But it's Kafal, Roslev, Udogi, Doherty, and Toffolo. Kulusevski, Alanga, Son, Bowen, and the other player would probably be Kodos. And then I've got Watkins, Tony, and Muniz. But if I was to do the free hit, which again I'm 90% certain I'll do, it would be Areola in goal, it would be Roslev, Udogi, and a Nottingham Forest defender. I'm thinking, potentially Bolly. But at the moment I've just gone with Toffolo. Kulusevski's a definite lock. Alanga's an absolute lock. Son, Bowen, obviously. Tony, Muniz. And the 5th midfielder for me, if it was going to be a 3-5-2, if Watkins is potentially not going to play, which is unlikely, he probably will be playing. The one punt I'd seriously consider is in Fulham's team, Harry Wilson. Harry Wilson is like just a player. Out of nowhere, it's based on absolutely nothing, no stats, no eye test, nothing. It's just the fact that anytime Fulham seem to be doing okay, I just hear Harry Wilson's name. Now, admittedly, Harry Wilson this season, if I just quickly look at him right now, has probably only scored about 1 goal and got about 2 assists. In fact, he's 5th in the Fulham player list, and the last game he got 0 points, but at home to Brighton he got a goal and assist, and that's the last time he ever got any attacking returns. But this season he got 3 goals, 5 assists. But prior to that Brighton game he got 2 points, and then he didn't play. Well, he played 2 26-minute matches against Aston Villa and Bournemouth, and he didn't play. Then he got 1 point against Chelsea. 1 point against Arsenal in 10 minutes. 1 point against Bournemouth in 17 minutes. His minutes are all over the place. So I've already just taught myself out of that Bilal. Bilal, a person I don't actually, he's another one that I don't see anymore. Maybe then it could be Pereira. I don't know. I just see that. I honestly can see Fulham potentially winning that game. I would not be surprised if Fulham were to win that game. The history is on Tottenham's favour, and in the predictions, I will end up predicting Tottenham to win 2-1. There's just this deep gut feeling in my head, or in my heart, or in my stomach. I actually think that Fulham can get a result against Tottenham because they're at home. Talking of teams, so Alex Volo's team, I can't bring it up on screen. Alex Volo's team is a 5-3-2 formation. No, it's a 5-4-1 formation. He's going with Flecken in goal, Udogi, Toffolo, Roslev. Ring any bells? Digne, Vitinho. Vitinho may not play, Alex, if you're listening. Legitimately, I was listening into the B-Hole podcast today, and they generally think that Vitinho may lose his spot to an actual midfielder. So just be warned. I like Vitinho, and you know what? I think he's a fantastic punt for real. But there's a chance he may not play. But don't worry, he'll have Kudos coming off the bench. He'll have Alanga, Kulusevski, Morgan Gibbs-White, Kulusevski, Alanga captain, Bailey, and Fofana. Bailey's also another one potentially as my fifth midfielder. It's either Kudos, Bailey, or a Fulham midfielder. But as we've just seen, the options are pretty flat, and especially when we're only picking from 8 teams, there's not many options there. But certainly, I think that this is a week where clean sheets are going to be very limited, so you're going to need a goalkeeper which is going to get a lot of save points. I can't see it from... Well, I say I can't see it from Flecken, but the fact that these games for me are very, very, very difficult to call. I include Burnley versus Brentford, I include Fulham versus Tottenham, I include West Ham versus Aston Villa. The easy one for me personally is Nottingham Forest. They will be beating Luton. They will be beating them. Now, whether it's 1-0 or 4-3, I don't care. They will be winning tomorrow. And I truly am finding it very, very difficult to choose certain players. But there are players for my free hit team that are an absolute lock. Udogi, Son, Kulusevski, Alanga, Munez, Tony. That's 6. Bowen, 7. So then I've got to choose what are the other 4 players. Yeah, what are the other 4 players that I'm wanting. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to... So any trophy league members willing to reveal their teams, let us know in the chat. Talking of the trophy league, even though it has nothing to do with trophies, but the Super Cup, Firetog has said that we're now down to the last 32. So I'm hoping that as I look at the Super Cup chat right now, that it will come up with the round of 32. I can read out exactly who is in the last 32, who's gone through, who's playing one another, and we'll do that once this loads up, and then I'll be able to read out once I go through the chat in 2 seconds. Yes, we do. Fantastic. I can do that in a minute. Let's just quickly see who's joining us in the chat for 32 seconds. The answers are as follows. Good evening to Denver. Good Lord, Nuclear Atoms is actually watching us live. It is a miracle. Just copy Alex for guaranteed good luck. Well, I did that for Kirkes, and I openly said I'm just copying him, I don't care. How did that go? Woodstock Chris. Why do I recognise that name? PK7 causing a lot of controversy. Fire Talk saying, didn't you say only idiots free hit in 29? I didn't say I wasn't an idiot. I am an idiot. I've been forced into it, to be honest with you. I've not really been... Oh, fucking hell, Bilal is here. I've just been slagging him off. Evening, Connor. Yeah, Fire Talk, I did say that you'd be an idiot, but I've been forced into it. I've got a -4. I don't really want to be potentially doing another hit, and I can just see a bit of upside to doing a free hit this week. Personally, I can just see a bit of upside to this. Good evening, animations. Yeah, he's just saying here. Yeah, the Super Cup. Fire Talk is saying here. PM. Good evening, Colm. Good evening, Gary. Good evening, Flying Dutchman. Saying here, I've got 10 players in for a -4, hoping my free hit can do some damage in game week 34. This is the thing. I'm one of those individuals who just don't... I think I can just get to game week 34 with just some basic transfers. To be completely frank, the fixtures don't exactly look that great. Personally, I don't think they look that great. And because this week a lot of... a lot of people are going to be free hitting, and I don't really want to be taking hits and being behind the crowd, and not necessarily being behind the crowd, but you know what I mean. I'd rather be looking at the upside. And again, we go back to Sam. These are the game weeks that you want your free hit for, and she's completely right. It's just ludicrous not to even think about using your free hit this week if you're in a circumstance like me. Animation saying, I'm very tempted to free hit now for the upside. We'll sleep on it for a bit more. We'll sleep on it, but more on this side of not to play it. Well, don't play it then. Don't play it. If you're adamant that you don't want to play it, don't play it. Fire Talk saying 34 has more upside than these crappy, shitty fixtures in 29. Which is, yeah, that's very true. But I think that for someone like yourself, you've already got, 10 players, and you probably definitely have 11 for a -4. Whereas for someone like me, who's only got 7 players right now, 8 players. What is it? How many players have I got? Flecken, Roslev, Dougherty, Son, Bowen, Muniz, Watkins, Tony. 8 players. Again, I may just go, do you know what, to hell with it. I've done a -4. Let's do it for the game week 34. I may completely forget about it. I don't know. As I stated, I've already worked out that, look, let's take, if we're going to use a simple example of a team between me and Alex Volo, okay, he's playing a 5-3-2, but Flecken versus Flecken, Roslev versus Roslev. He didn't have Dougherty, did he? No. And he didn't even have Son. You've not got Son. I don't want to have Son. There's my first extras reference. You haven't even got Son. Have you got Watkins? Yeah. I mean Ollie Watkins. Well, no, but... Oh, God. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm still in the 2 minds, but I'm about 90% certain I'll just hit the free hit and just get on with it. Harry Dawson saying another Mitsmush. No. Ramanathan, good evening. Nerd. Fucking hell. Nerd. Didn't you used to watch us? What's brought you back? What's brought you back? New Crap saying Volo's going for players less than 10% owned. I've already said that. He also says, did I watch the GTA video? I did, but then after seeing about 400 adverts every 2 seconds on the thing, I thought, turn this shit off. Don't get me wrong, incredibly edited. Probably would be an interesting watch, but the amount of adverts that were on it, forget it, I'm not interested. Amanda Hugginkiss, another one, I just haven't seen these names for a while. What's going on here? In the words of Tim off The Office, wet the bed. Need to watch something. You can't say that about your audience. I can, and I will. So, on to the Super Cup quickly. So, as Firetog mentioned, we are down to the last 32. So are people going to be here watching live right now who are in the last 32 of the Super Cup? The Super Cup obviously brought to you by Firetog. Put all the spreadsheets together. He's just said to me that if I'd have captained Solanke, I'd have been through to the last 32. Brilliant. So, FPL Matty Winalot is playing Zvonka. Max Roberts will be playing Group O winner. Max Roberts will be... Who? Max Roberts will be meeting up with or going up against runner-up of Group O in Danny. Because, yeah, it's the winner of each group goes up against the runner-up of the other groups. In match 3, we've got Firetog, who was the winner of Group C, up against runner-up in JR. That was Group N. In match 4, we've got Karma Baby up against Adulis. Group 5, FPL Bailey versus Peter Scullion. Match 6, Notorious versus Denver. Match 7, Group G winner Frenchie versus Group J runner-up in Gabriel de Rop. Harry Dawson, we just mentioned him just there, up against another person we just mentioned there in Bilal. We then have 2 heavyweights fighting up against one another. Those 2 individuals are Harbour Boy versus Lino. But in match 9, we've got Emil Smith Joe versus runner-up of Group H, which is Jacko. Smith Joe versus Jacko. Match 10, we've got KDB versus Simic. Then we've got Cool K versus Nuclear Atoms. Fader Raza against Dread FPL. Plastova versus Chef Ramsey. Cy Bellamy versus What No Graphics. Age versus Madeline Tudor, as I've just mentioned there, Harbour Boy versus Lino. So good luck to all you guys there. How does it all work again, Firetog? Is it just, how does it actually work? The round of 32, what's the, is it literally as it states here? Game week 29 points, game week 30, and then that's it. So they play each other over 2 game weeks, is that right, Firetog? Let us know in the chat. But yeah, good luck to those people there. Well, you did go through Harry Dawson. This FPL slot is on my 5th stream today. What does that mean, Cole? And what does that mean? Ooh, don't you know? Stream. I am so bored of this. Firetalk saying, yeah, it is over 2 game weeks. So moving on to the actual game week itself. Is anybody actually excited for it? Genuinely. There's a genuine question. Is anybody actually caring for this game week? Because for people like me, I mean, the fixtures, I mean, from a Burnley point of view, it's very important. And to be completely frank, I will not be surprised if we were to win against Brentford. I think there's more momentum with us than there is with Brentford. Brentford have got better players, but there's just something about them. It will be a very, very tough fixture, but I do think that there's a small possibility that we can get a result versus them. And then we've got, I think, an exciting game between Luton and Nottingham Forest. I think that is going to be a really enjoyable fixture. I think it will be end to end. Fulham Tottenham, I think again could be quite end to end. But West Ham versus Aston Villa, I cannot call that at all. So we do kick off with Burnley versus Brentford. The history, which I wouldn't even read into when it comes to Burnley this year, but the history is, well, the last 2 fixtures have not looked good for us at all. Brentford, this is at the G-Tech Stadium, as they like to remind us. Oh, the beautiful area. Look over there, there's Kew Bridge. It's a shithole. It's not that great. Actually, I tell a lie. It's not actually that bad walking along the a canal. Is it a canal area? I don't know if it's really a canal, but it's not too bad walking along the river, but really it's the way Sky Sports present it, like making out it's like this incredible scenic, is that even a word? I don't think it is. This beautifully scenery based area, it's really not. It really isn't. In Brentford, all it is just one long road with shops either side. I've been driving through it every day for the past couple of days. It's got a big McDonald's drive-through though. They've closed the Morrisons, where it had a giant car park, to then put it into an area which I don't know if they've got a car park anymore. They must have a car park, must have an underground car park. It's all just getting, Brentford area is just getting all redeveloped at the moment. But yeah, like I say, Sky Sports seem to make it out like it's this amazing area. It really isn't. I mean, Brentford's ground is literally next to a giant A road. It's horrible. It's a horrible road to be on. But yeah, last two fixtures, Brentford have 1-0, 3-0 and 2-0. 2 red cards for Burnley. But prior to that, Burnley have won. Burnley 3, Brentford 1. Brentford 1, Burnley 3. Burnley 1, Brentford 0. Brentford 0, Burnley, guess which number? 3. So there's a chance this game could be quite high scoring for one team winning and scoring 3 goals. There's a small possibility here. However, current form, I don't think it suggests that at all. Brentford away from home are poor, and that's an understatement. I mean, don't get me wrong, Burnley are terrible at home, but Brentford away from home, they're 15th in the table. They've won 3, drawn 1, lost 10. Scored 16, conceded 23. Their last 6 fixtures, 5 losses and 1 win. They lost 2-1 to Arsenal, 4-2 to West Ham, 1-0 to Man City. They beat Wolves 2-0. They lose 3-2 to Tottenham, and they lose 3-1 to Brentford. Now again, I reiterate this point. Burnley at home are hopeless. They've won 1, drawn 2, lost 11. Scored only 13 goals, conceded 34. So, Alex, you're considering bringing in a Burnley defender. Don't bother. Admit you're getting him in for attacking returns. We lost 2-0 to Bournemouth. We lost 5-0 to Arsenal. We drew 2-2 with Fulham. We drew 1-1 with Luton. We lost 2-0 to Liverpool. And we lost 2-0 to Everton. So basically, we're either going to lose to 0 or we're going to draw in a low-scoring game. We certainly ain't going to be winning. I don't think we're going to be winning this at all. Andrew Ferguson saying the word you're looking for is scenic. I can't renew my membership from YouTube or Discord. Firetalk said to ask you about it. Don't bother asking me. You need to message Jason. I don't run any of this. I'm just a guy that sits behind a camera. Jason does all the tech side of things. He does all the websites, the Discord, everything. And you need to message Jason. If you want to support the channel, you can do by going onto Patreon. That is something that I'm in charge of, the Patreon. But when it comes to YouTube membership, it doesn't exist anymore. In fact, it doesn't exist anymore. Ramanathan saying, is Ollie Watkins actually out for Gameweek 29? I don't know. Ask their manager, Unai Emery. I don't have a fucking clue. Blaze is saying, I think every game that is on looks tight, to be honest. I don't think they look tight. It's just very difficult to call the games themselves. They're very difficult to call. And all I can do my basic understanding of each match and to help me kind of guide me into which way I'm going is by going, well, look at the last 6 fixtures, home and away. And the guide tells me that this game between Burnley and Brentford is going to end up as either, well, in fact, there's no either about it. It's going to end up either a draw or Brentford to win. That's what it's suggesting to me, the basic form. I personally am going to be predicting 2-1 to Brentford. Firetalk. Actually, it doesn't matter. Firetalk's miles ahead of me now in the Super Brew. So it doesn't really matter what I'm going to predict, but I am expecting Brentford to win, but I would not be surprised if we actually genuinely do get a result. I will not be surprised at all if we, Burnley, actually get a result against Brentford. I do expect us to score. I do expect us to score tomorrow. But Brentford will be playing their 5-3-2 formation. That's what they're going to go tomorrow, and that's what they do away from home. They play their back five. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game. Unlike with the game between Luton and Nottingham Forest, which I believe is going to be end to end. I truly do think that it is going to be absolutely end to end. Well, yeah, Firetalk, your team is your team is set up, but the players you've got are, well, poor Owenu Doggy, congratulations, but they're going to be conceding. I've got some bad news for you. They're going to be conceding. Harry saying, honestly, no result from the 4 games will surprise me. Literally anything can happen. I think that if we were to win comfortably, I'd be surprised. I think that if Luton were to be in a really tight 0-0, 1-0 either way, that would surprise me. If the Fulham-Tottenham game ended Tottenham winning 4-0, that would surprise me. And West Ham Watkins. Matthew Zaishi saying, outside of Son and Maddison, any of the Spurs assets worth a gamble? Yeah. Kulusevski. Johnson is worth a shout, but I wouldn't be going anywhere near Maddison. He was playing way too deep for me the other day, personally. Yeah, Luton at home, 1-3, drawn 2, lost 9, scored 21, conceded 25. The last 6 fixtures, the last 3 have ended in losses. 3-2 against Aston Villa, 2-1 against Man United. They lost 3-1 against Sheffield United. They did beat Brighton 4-0. They lost to Chelsea. Can you guess how many goals Chelsea scored? 3. And they beat Newcastle 1-0. Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, away from home, I know they're crap. And in fact, I know they're bad. They're just about as bad as Luton are, but they need to win. And they lost to Brighton 1-0. They lost to Aston Villa 4-2. They drew with Bournemouth 1-1. They lost to Brentford 3-2. They beat Newcastle 3-1. And they drew with Wolves 1-1. So again, this is suggesting to me there's going to be goals in this game, personally. I think they're just going to go, but I think Luton are going to go at Nottingham Forest, and Nottingham Forest are just going to hit them on the break, counter-attack them, and I think that they're going to expose Luton, and that's why I think that loading up on maybe 2 Nottingham Forest players would not be such a bad idea. The problem with these teams, though, is that they're so shit that actually it's one of those where you wouldn't be surprised if someone like Pereira did come up with a double-digit haul, or if, for argument's sake, some random player from Brentford that we've never even heard of or never even considered popped up with something. But the only teams that you can really rely on are, for pretty much, we can relatively put a random guess on the points that they're going to get, would be West Ham versus Aston Villa. Other than that, the other 6 teams, and Tottenham, of course. But Fulham, Burnley, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Luton. You don't know. It's just so sporadic. As demonstrated in the double game week that's just gone. That was a complete fucking waste of time. Absolute waste of fucking time. But yeah, this Luton versus Nottingham Forest game is shaping up to be high scoring in my opinion. I do think that going with against Luton because they're just that bad, I just think that go for it, and I think go with 2 Nottingham Forest players. Talking of those options, Fulham at home to Tottenham. I said Fulham are very good at home. They're 8th in the table, won 8, drawn 1, lost 5, scored 26, conceded 15. Last 6 fixtures, 1-3, drawn 1-3, lost 2, drawn 1. They beat Brighton 3-0. They lost to Aston Villa 2-1. They beat Bournemouth 3-1. They drew with Everton 0-0. But then again, Everton always draw 0-0. They beat Arsenal 2-1 and they lost to, ironically, us 2-0. Whereas Tottenham away from home, again, they are very good. And I know there's a lot of 2s involved with them, and I know there's a lot of draws. They beat Aston Villa 4-0. They drew with Everton 2-2. They drew with Man United 2-2. They lost to Brighton 4-2. They beat Nottingham Forest. How many goals do you think Tottenham scored? 2. And then they drew with Man City 3-3. I think this game could potentially have like a 2-2 written all over it. I think this game could have like a 2-2 written all over it. Based on current home form and away form at the moment between Fulham and Tottenham. And like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if Fulham were to get a result in this particular fixture. Would not be surprised at all. Ray saying, good evening Ray, Alanga is the one who I want to get him in then. Nerd saying, your team looks good enough for this week. So, just to remind everybody, Nerd has been here since the beginning. He clearly didn't hear the fact that I've already done a -4. Ramanathan saying, hopefully all matches are 2 goals and up, make up for the dull blank game week. Well, again, what am I on about? It's a lot of crap teams. Burnley, Luton. You've got to look at it, the fact that how many goals these teams concede. Thing you've got to look at, and that's why I do think that from an FPL point of view, there is going to be upsets which people don't expect, like Tottenham losing to Fulham, and everybody's got 3 Tottenham assets, but oh wait a minute, they've just lost 1-0 to Fulham. Fuck. And then you've got the likes of Burnley at home to Brentford. Oh shit, Burnley have just gone and beaten Brentford 2-1. And then in Luton, Nottingham Forest, people seem to be jumping on Luton. They don't seem to be looking at Nottingham Forest. And Nottingham Forest turn up and win 3-2. The likes of Gibbs White, Wood, Awani, if he flaming even starts, coming through with the goals. But the final game of the week, obviously, which is Sunday, West Ham versus Aston Villa. West Ham winning 5-0 last night. Aston Villa winning 4-0. You couldn't make it up, could you? You couldn't make up the fact that in the first games, West Ham lost 1-0 and Aston Villa drew 0-0, and then the following games at home, they win very comfortably. It's like the same as Liverpool winning 6-1. What the fuck is that all about? Oh, Sparta Prague, that bad. So this is probably the hardest game for me to call. I know the history between Fulham and... In fact, I didn't even look at the history between Luton and Nottingham Forest, did I? So let's just have a quick look at the history between Luton and Nottingham Forest. I can't remember when I did it on Patreon the other day. Oh, lots of red cards. Oh, God. Listen to this for history. So it's bookended with high-scoring games. So remember that. It's bookended by 2 high-scoring games. So the last time they played each other, it ended 2-2. That was in October last year. And in 2020, Nottingham Forest won 3-1. In between that, we've got Luton 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Nottingham Forest 0, Luton 0. Nottingham Forest 0, Luton 1. Luton 1, Nottingham Forest 1. In fact, there's been more red cards. In fact, there's been one less red card in those 4-match period than there were goals. There were 4 goals scored in that middle patch of games, but there were 3 red cards. That's how dire this match has been. But the last time these two played, from the Premier League point of view, so if history repeats itself from last year in October in the Premier League, Elanga got an assist for Chris Wood. And then Ogbene and Adebayo got the goals in the 83rd and the 91st minute. Couldn't make it up, could you? So yeah, the history for the West Ham versus Tottenham game, on the other hand, well, I know between Fulham and Tottenham, it's basically just 2-1 to Tottenham. I know that much. It's not very high scoring at all. But West Ham versus Aston Villa is high scoring in the favour of one team, West Ham. So the last time these two played, it ended 4-1 to Aston Villa, but then it was 1-1, 1-0 West Ham, 2-1 West Ham, 4-1 West Ham, 3-1 West Ham. So, yeah, West Ham like to play Aston Villa. West Ham do like to play Aston Villa. And the last time these played at West Ham's ground, it ended 1-1. Ben Rama getting the penalty and Ollie Watkins scoring thanks to Moreno. A Moreno assist. There we are, Firetog. Moreno probably isn't going to play for you. If he does, he may get you 2 points. Oh yeah, the Champions League draw. That Champions League draw is fantastic. Legitimately fantastic. I really liked... I genuinely liked the Champions League draw. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I find the West Ham versus Aston Villa game very, very difficult to call. And when you look at the current history, form table, I suppose you want to call it. So, with West Ham at home, I think they're doing okay this season at home. 1-6, drawn 5, lost 3. So they don't lose many. Scored 24, conceded 21. They've only lost 1 game in the last 6. That was against Arsenal 6-0. 3 draws in this period. They drew 2-2 with us. 1 with Bournemouth. 0-0 with Brighton. The 2 games they won were beating Man United 2-0 and beating Brentford 4-2. Aston Villa, on the other hand, away from home, 1-7, drawn 3, lost 4. But then again, this is a team in the Champions League spots. They beat Luton 3-2. They beat Fulham 2-1. They beat Sheffield United 5-0. Okay, these teams aren't exactly great. They drew with Everton 0-0. They lost to Man United 3-2 and they beat Brentford 2-1. I just find it really interesting with us all, with people free hitting, loading up on the likes of West Ham and Aston Villa, but does it really scream goals like Luton versus Nottingham Forest, Fulham versus Tottenham? They're the 2 games I expect to have the most goals in, personally. they're the two games I expect to have the most goals in, but people seem to be overlooking those two particular teams. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not I do use my free hit. Like I say, I probably, in fact, let's just quickly see what potentially the double game week 34 then looks like. So Firetog screaming that basically double game week 34 looks like it could be the most profitable. But who are the players that we're all going to be looking at regarding that particular game week? Oh God, where is Ben Crellin when you want to fucking find him? Oh yeah, I muted him. Forgot about that. How the hell can I find him if I've muted him? Couldn't make it up, could you? Oh, there he is there. Right. So, thank you. Now it's going to be a question of where the bloody hell has he put the probability. I know Planet FPL had a very interesting and here we go, easy to read. So double game week 34, it's looking like Arsenal versus Wolves and Chelsea. Bournemouth, we've got Aston Villa versus Wolves. Brighton, Chelsea versus Man City. Man United against Newcastle and Sheffield United at home. Man City have already got 3 anyway. Wolves, Arsenal, Bournemouth. Firetog, you're fucking deluded. Okay, maybe Liverpool, the fact that Liverpool have got. But yeah, piss off, you're taking the piss. I think I will probably be free hitting tomorrow. Screenshot that. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it a night because there's nothing more I can add. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and yeah, I will see you for tomorrow's depressing Saturday night reaction. I will be doing one, obviously talking about the 3 games that are happening tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Yeah, that'll be a bright barrel of laughs as ever. If you've enjoyed the stream, make sure you hit the like button if you are brand new around.